Welcome at today's episode of Allo Lebanon about the economic and political crisis in Lebanon. I am Vera Albayt and I will be the host today. We will be talking with Nathalie El Hani, the principal of the secondary division of Jesus and Mary School and the instructor at the St. Joseph University in Beirut. And we will talk about the impact of Lebanese crisis on the education system and all the components of education system, meaning the students and teachers. Nathalie, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, about your career, how you became an expert in education?
My career is a bit long. It's been something like 28 years in the educational field. I have started, first of all, I was a JM student and I graduated from there. And then from the English system, I moved to USG, to the French system. The change was a bit big. I went into translation and then to the Sorbonne to do English literature, and then back to USG to do geography and to teach. I started teaching, though I was also a student. So teaching has always been my passion. Being with students and educating has always been my passion. After that, I went to Jamhour. I taught in a lot of schools, but my main, if you want, the main pillar was Jamhour. It's a Jesuit school in which I spent 22 years. And there I was teacher, then coordinator of the English language, and I held a lot of responsibilities. From there, I went back to JM. These years have taught me a lot, have made me grow with the students, have made me understand the students and work with them and help them. And what is good is that even after they graduate, I've always kept the students as friends. And with them, I've learned a lot too. At Jamhour, I taught the French baccalaureate, which gives me, if you want, a wider range of education. At Jesus and Mary, I'm in charge of the Lebanese baccalaureate, and right now we're working on the IB, on the International Baccalaureate. So it also helps in a lot of ways. At USG, I've been teaching also for 22 years. I was also head of the English department at USG for some time, but now I've been teaching for 22, 23 years, translation. So I teach second, third, and fourth year translation. And I've got also I know the difference, if you want, between a student at school, a pupil, and a student at university. And this also shows me how every single one grows and helps me guide the students and learn from them.
You've been mentioning Jesus and Mary School and Jamhour Jesuit College. Can you tell us a little bit more about Lebanese education system?
Yes. The Lebanese system, now what we need to know is that we've got the private and the public sector, just like in any country. However, in Lebanon, parents tend to send their kids much more to the private sector, not the public sector, because it's a bit more reliable. The public sector has been having a lot of problems with the government, and so they have a lot of strikes, and they don't have enough funds. This is why the private sector is growing, is developing in a faster way, and so and the private sector is also connected to other countries, and they sometimes have twinnings, sometimes they work with either Britain or France, etc. And so the school system and the school curriculum is a bit stronger. Though the Lebanese program is quite good. The Lebanese curriculum is based on knowledge. It's quite important. I'll give you the example of my son. My son graduated from Jamhour. He followed both programs, the French and the Lebanese. He was accepted in Switzerland at EPFL, École Polytechnique Fédérale de Lausanne, which is one of the best universities in the world. And yet, during his second year of university, he told me that some of the courses were based on whatever they took in the Lebanese program in third secondary or grade 12, which means that they do have a lot. It is important, the Lebanese program. But unfortunately, if now one of my students this year in 3S, in grade 12, wants to leave, wants to go to EPFL, he's applied. He will not be accepted in sophomore because he's got only the Lebanese program. While another student who's same level, but has done the French program, the French baccalaureate, will be accepted in sophomore. So it's not really recognized abroad, though it has a lot of positive things, talking about the Lebanese bac.
So definitely Lebanese education is competitive, not only regionally, but in the world.
But it's not accepted. It used to be. Someone who had the Lebanese baccalaureate long time ago would go into sophomore directly. But now you've got the United States, Canada, the grandes écoles in Europe. If ever you've got the Lebanese bac, though you have a lot of knowledge, you won't be accepted in sophomore, you'll be accepted in freshman.
So what do you think should be changed in this system?
I'm not sure whether it's political or not. This is one thing. A lot of things have to be changed in the Lebanese system. First of all, it has to be updated. It's a very old, it's not very old, but the curriculum has been put long time ago. And since then, it hasn't been updated. Sciences and math are very good. However, anything that has to do with human sciences, these have to be updated. These have to be worked on according to skills, not according only to knowledge. In the French baccalaureate and in the international baccalaureate, students are taught how to think, how to analyze, not how to learn by heart, which is one of the weaknesses of the Lebanese bac.
And you are seeing it as an instructor at the university,
yes,
I'm
definitely,
sure.
Definitely.
The lack of analytical thinking.
True. It's now the private sector tries to teach this, even though it's not in the curriculum. The public sector doesn't. So this is why also one more thing for a parent to choose the private sector. So we do try, but by the end of the day, you've got a curriculum to end, a syllabus to finish. So we try as much as possible.
Now you mentioned and you touched another challenge for Lebanese people. You mentioned your son studying abroad. With the economic crisis, this option is very limited for the parents to send their kids study abroad. True.
It is very limited, and what is even worse is that even here, with the devaluation of the Lebanese, of the currency here, it's a big problem. Everything has become a big problem, even living. So yes, we do feel it. Now, with all of this, I can see this year that a bigger percentage is leaving. at least in our school. I have more students who are applying abroad, more students who want to leave.
So it's the decision of the students or the whole family leaving?
This is the first year I see whole families leaving. And they're not, some of them, those I've talked to, some of them are not even waiting for terminal, for grade 12, which is also a problem. I mean, my daughter is in terminal this year. I wouldn't have thought leaving the country before she finishes, because we know that whenever we move, any movement, even from school to university, it creates a kind of clash. So I wanted to wait till the last year, while other families are not even waiting anymore. Some of them have told me they're leaving, though their kid has one more year only at university, at school, has one more year at school. So some of them are leaving. And this is the first year I see this, whole families relocating.
How about the financial problems or financial crisis affecting the parents being able to pay the tuition? Do you see parents withdrawing their kids, preferring the public sector?
Last year we had this. It was one case. What we need to know is that I'm in a Catholic school. And usually Catholic schools do not ask the parents to withdraw their kids if they cannot pay. So we always try to find a way. We always try to help. But of course, the student has to show some seriousness and a will to continue working in a serious way. But otherwise, the school never asks someone to leave. Now, this family I'm talking about, it's only because the family themselves didn't want to undergo this psychological or this feeling of we're not able to pay and yet our kid is still here. But otherwise, we never ask someone to leave.
How about the teachers and their motivation?
The teachers are great, honestly. Though the salaries nowadays are, I don't know how to describe them. Minimal, I mean...
Below minimal, I would say.
Honestly.
10 times depreciated.
Some cannot even live with their salaries for 1 week. And yet, they're full of energy and want to continue. They're passionate. Most of them are passionate about it and they're working really hard. And even now, especially that we're online, it takes much more work than usual. And there are no more limits in time. So our teachers and even the administration is working, I'm going to say 24/7, because at any time we get phone calls, at any time we get mails, at any time we talk to our students. And so there's no more limit. When we used to go to school, we had from 8 to 3, and then we would wait for the following day to talk to either parents or students. But now there isn't this. So our teachers are working much more, double or triple, with a salary that can be divided by 10, 20. A teacher who used to get something like around, the average teacher used to earn around $1,800 or $2,000, which is a bit like 3 million.
Yes.
Nowadays, 3 million is how much?
$300.
Exactly, $300. And so $300 with everything that's going around. And we cannot raise the fees right now because parents cannot pay. And at the same time, you cannot raise the salaries because we're not increasing the fees. And so it's a vicious circle.
Exactly. And how about the students? Do they understand fully the impact, or is it more the families absorbing?
It's both a bit. Let's not forget that the secondary students are teenagers going into 18 or 19, leaving school, becoming adults. Still, with whatever they're living, it's too much for them. Psychologically speaking, even if they show us that it's okay and we're able to cope with it, it's not that easy. Let's not forget that, first of all, we have COVID. So the fear of COVID, and I'm sure that every single one of them has had a family member or a friend who got COVID. I'm talking about the severe cases, all right? And then, so you've got this fear among them. Second, these students or these kids had to live outside, socialize with their friends, and learn the social skills at school and live them, while they're not. Now each one of them is in front of their screen, their PC screen, laptops, and they're no more interacting the normal way, which also is a burden to them. So COVID, this burden, being at home and living virtually, not a normal life, not socializing, plus the political impact of Lebanon, with all of the parties and with the parents imposing a bit indirectly the party they agree with or they love, and imposing it on their son or daughter, plus the economic issue. Even if parents do not show it really at home, still kids feel it. I mean, even a kid of 1 year old, who's 1 year old, can feel whatever the parents are undergoing. And since we're at home, they're living this 24 on 24 with their parents. So it's too much for them. It's too much.
So you feel an increased psychological pressure.
Definitely,
on the students,
of course.
The levels of depressions, maybe.
A lot. And students not being able to know how to deal with it, which is normal. We're not able as adults to know how to deal with this. And of course, they're becoming more aggressive too because of this stress, and they don't know how to put it out. So it comes out as an aggressive way, either in words or in actions.
Is there any help in form of NGO?
Yes. No, we do have our psychologists at school, and those who ask for it, they are seeing the psychologist, but again, virtually.
And is this being used? Is this helping?
Yes, it is.
We could observe really amazing young generation that grew. We could see it thanks to the Lebanese revolution and thanks to the explosion that happened in August 4, 2020. The young generation, after the protests during the revolution, just appeared in the streets and cleaned the streets that were dirty after the protests. And the same happened after the explosion. Not expecting any help, they just appeared at the door of people affected by the explosion, and they offered their help to clean their houses. Do you have any experience with the explosion that happened?
Yes, actually, we lost one of our students in this explosion. This family lived or lives in Ashrafiye, just next on the port, something like not even 100 meters from the port, and all of their apartment was blown away. With the father was not at home. We had the son, the daughter. The son was in 1S, so grade 10 last year. His sister is at university. She was a former student, so she was a JM student. And the mother was at home. So the three of them were at home. The three of them were injured. Because of the explosion, each one of them, because of the so many victims, the hospitals, sorry, but I'm really affected with this question. So many hospitals didn't have places. So every single one of them was taken to a different hospital. The three of them were in the hospital, but each one in a different one. And so they couldn't see each other even. The mother and the daughter are better now. But the son spent around 10 days in ICU, and then he passed away. And during this time, all of his friends used to come with the mothers also to the hospital, stay with him, pray. And when he passed away, he went to say goodbye to the school. It was extremely emotional. It was extremely sad. The boys, his friends, carried him. It's something I don't know how to describe. It kills us. It kills us, especially that at that age we don't expect this. We don't expect this. We don't expect someone at that age to say goodbye in this way. So this is one part. His friends and a lot of students went to help them. At the same time, other students also went to the streets, to the houses, to help other families, whether they know them or not. My kids were, some of them were also there. A lot of students went to help clean the houses, clean the streets, give food, pack with some NGOs boxes of food in order to help the families who had lost nearly everything and who were injured also, who couldn't clean their own houses. They also helped clean the streets. What we need to know is that in our schools, most of the schools have community service. So the students learn from their very young age how to help the other and how to make a difference in the society. This explosion helped the students see whatever can happen to them and to stand next to their brothers and sisters, whether they know them or not. By the end of the day, we're sharing the same country. We're all of us human beings, and they're there in order to help.
It is an amazing gesture of solidarity and compassion that this new young generation showed. And it's a pity that we might lose this young generation due to the conditions that Lebanese government, Lebanese state is at the moment. Thank you, Nathalie, for an interesting insight into Lebanese education system and its struggles under the weight of the ongoing crisis. The guest of our next episode will be Simona Balogova, a Slovak student who chose Lebanon for her university studies. And she studied at the Lebanese University in Arabic.